Folks, we're here this afternoon at Commissary Point and have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Ted Joanen, kind of a legend in these parts. Man used to manage the Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge for many years. He's a pioneer of the alligator restocking program that makes them as plentiful as they are today, and has a lifetime of knowledge about this part of the world, not just this ranch in particular. How you doing, Ted?
Fine, doing real good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So population-wise, I can remember, being a kid in the 70s, an alligator in my part of Texas was fairly unusual. It was a big thing to see one. We had a few,
Right,
but not
right.
many. I'm sure y'all had more over here, but relative to, the mid-70s versus today, how dramatically has the overall population increased?
The population, when I started at Rockefeller, I started as a graduate student, and I went to work for the department in 1963. I had my master's degree in wildlife management. Populations were extremely low, and it was just simply over-harvest. There was no controls, no regulations, and the price on the skins kept going up, so people continued to harvest the gator, and of course the population went down. That was also the time of the big oil exploration, the geophysicals, and people were going out on marsh buggies, doing these seismic shoots, and going into female habitat, and with pole hunting, put a pole in a hole and pull it out and kill it with a hatchet, and they were killing breeding females. And we found out that the breeding females make up only about 5% of the total population. So that's the goose that laid the golden egg. That's the female you want to keep, the animal you want to keep. So we protected the female. We closed the season. We did a bunch of restocking animals off these refuges. We brought them out to private lands. And we also passed regulations, gave them some kind of federal and state protection. And with that federal and state protection, populations really exploded. And today we have probably 2 million alligators in the state of Louisiana. We got more alligators today than we have when our grandfathers were here. And you say, well, how did that happen? We got more habitat. The oil companies, when they were cutting these big canals to reach their mineral sites, they were cutting male habitat. They were providing these big canals, and that's where these big males stayed. Belted in the spring, the females came out in courting groups. They mated with the male. Then they went back into isolation. And alligators are solitary nesters. They don't nest like Nile crocs. Nile crocs nest in colonies. Alligators are solitary nesters, and they big mound nest about 3 feet high, cone-shaped, and lay about 35 to 40 eggs in it. And it takes 65 days for those eggs to hatch. And then the young will hatch out, and that's usually late August into September. And then they go directly into hibernation at the end of September, 1st of October. So they really don't eat that much. So they go into hibernation at about hatching size, 8.5 to 9 inches long. And that's when mortality takes place. That's when birds eat them, garfish eat them, otters eat them, and other alligators eat them. Alligators are cannibalistic, and they will eat each other. We did studies where we saw 10-footers eat 8-footers, 8-footers eat 6-footers, 6-footers eat 4-footers, and on down. It's a peck order. But we have been able to manage the alligator, and my concern as a wildlife biologist, I wasn't too concerned about the population of alligators, but how do you get 3.5 million people in the state of Louisiana to live with 2 million alligators? You do it with a hunting season. You take where you get high human alligator contact, like at swimming places and picnic areas and beautiful rivers and lakes and all. And that's where you encourage people to take these alligators. And that has provided a way to where people can accept living with alligators. It's not uncommon here to see an alligator on the road, and you don't panic. You just push him off the road and off he goes. So people in Louisiana have learned to live with alligators, learned to live with wildlife populations, and that's why this program has been so successful. It's because of the people have accepted the program, the courts have prosecuted the poachers, and the markets are there mainly for the Hermes group and Gucci and Cartier and these kind of people, and it works out. Also, the farmers now are selling their farm skins to the exclusive watch strap people. They make a lot of watch straps for these real fancy watches with alligator, and it works out real well. Louisiana produces more skins than the entire continent of Africa because it's a good management program. Landowners work with us with the program, and also it has been very successful over the years, and populations continue to increase. Although we've taken, like I said, 35,000 alligators and 200, 300,000 alligator eggs every year, the population continues to increase at a rate of 5 to 10% every year. So the alligator is ugly as hell, but he's manageable, and he's alive and well.
Tell me, Ted, give me a little bit of history about this. Tell me Commissary Point, the area.
Well, this goes back a number of years, but this was all owned by oil companies. And in those years, oil companies owned the property where they drilled. And that way they got minerals and everything else. And about 15, 20 years ago, they drilled had all the oil drilled out, and they put it up for sale. But the surface area was always leased for either cattle grazing, or this particular area was waterfowl hunting. Southwest Louisiana is known for its tremendous concentrations of ducks and geese, and this area was a prime right in the heart of the main migration of waterfowl. So this was always a real nice piece of property and always very productive in ducks and geese. This is a real prime piece of habitat because it's the best of both worlds. You got duck hunting here, you got goose hunting, alligator hunting, and then just right next your neighbor is saltwater fishing. It's some of the finest saltwater fishing, speckled trout and redfish, in southwest Louisiana.
That is what I love about this place is you can do lots of things.
You could do both
in the same day.
Exactly, and the nice part about it, in the hot summers here, and the summers get hot as hell. These people have built piers and put lights on them and fish at night. It's in the cool part of the evening. They could go out and catch a icebox full of speckled trout off the lights off the end of their pier. So it's really nice. The location of the property is unique in that you can drive to it. In the coastal marshes, most of the camps and shooting preserves you have to go to by boat. But this is one you could drive to. This is an excellent place to raise a bunch of kids and teach them what wildlife conservation is all about.
One of the things that I find really neat about this place is it's kind of the transition point. It is the transition point from Prairie to Reservoir to big marsh.
Exactly. You got two marsh types here. You got basically the fresh marsh, which is the ag land, and then you have the brackish marsh, which is the impoundment. And over the years, the impoundment was connected to the lake here, and it was managed for aquatics, widgeon grass, which is the number one food for ducks. So they managed the brackish marsh for widgeon grass. Then the ag land, they manage for annual grasses. And that means moving water on during the winter, then moving it off, drying it up, letting these annual grasses grow. Annuals are grasses that live less than 1 year. And being that they do live less than 1 year, they're tremendous seed producers.
Right.
And that's, of course, what attracts the ducks, are these seed. So you dry the land up in the spring, grow your grasses, reflood them when the plants mature. They'll shed and go into the water. Then you put about 6-7 inches of water over that ag land, and here come the ducks. Get ready. It's worked out real well, and as a result, it's a tremendous recreational area here. The other part of the property is alligators. That there's the property qualifies for a handful of tags. You could either sport hunt them, go out and you could kill them, take the hides, have them tanned, make boots out of them, make gun cases out of them, do whatever it is. And the neat thing, it comes from your property. You hunted it, you killed it, you tanned it, and now you got a gun case out of it. The other part of it is alligator eggs. We started the alligator hunting in 1972 here, but I also started the alligator farming. In our research, we found out that 85% of the eggs in alligators die before they're 4 feet long. So why lose 85%? If you're in a business and you lose 85% of your business you're not going to be in business long. But alligators do that, and they survive, mainly because they lay a tremendous number of eggs every year, 35 to 40 in a clutch. We allowed people to go out and pick those eggs up, put them on farms, and raise them on farms for skins and meat. And we have developed an alligator farming industry here that's valued at about $200 million. And that supplies most of the skins to the Europeans, and they make the expensive handbags and shoes and belts and everything else out of that. So Matt has a few nests he follows, and he can sell those eggs to farmers. So that's added income. If, during the summer, June and July, want to go fight a mama alligator for our eggs, you can do that here. And we haven't lost anybody yet, so it's pretty good. We harvest in the neighborhood of about 35,000 wild alligators across the coast every year, and we harvest in the neighborhood of about 300,000 eggs every year along the coast. And that goes to about 15 to 20 farmers, and they raise those animals to about 4 feet long, harvest them, sell the meat, and the skins go into the high-end fashion market. Hollywood is a big buyer of our skins, New York, New Jersey. And one thing that's interesting, we found out in our research, that you can control the sex of an alligator. Alligators don't have sex chromosomes. Everybody has sex chromosomes. When eggs are fertilized, they line up on the equatorial plate, and you get your hair color, your sex, and height, and skin color, and all that. Alligators don't have that. So there's got to be other factors that determine sex in alligators. And I found that it's incubation temperature of the egg. A high incubation temperature produces males, a lower incubation temperature produces females. And also we found out that we can control metabolic rate of the alligator in the incubation temperature of the egg. So farmers hatch them out at about 87 degrees, which is about 50-50 male-female, and they have a high metabolic rate. Now, the wild alligator at a year old is about 10-12 inches long. A farm alligator, a year old, is 4 feet long. That way, he's in 87 degrees year-round. He's in a hothouse, and he's fed every day. And he's growing about 3 inches a month. So he reaches that 4 feet long in about 14 months. And then he'll go on into the market, and his skin goes, the meat goes into the restaurant trade.
And so you can grow an alligator that is ready for either consumption or release in 1/4 of the time that they would
do it out in the
occur.
wild, in Mother Nature. You can improve on Mother Nature, because here alligators hibernate. They hibernate for 6 months during the wintertime, and then they grow for 6 months during the summer. But if you keep them in heated chambers, they grow constantly, and they do very well. In the wild, it takes 10 years for an alligator to reach sexual maturity. You raise them in these hothouses, you quick grow them, they reach sexual maturity in 5 years. So you're turning back a much better animal. He's got a higher metabolic rate, he's going to grow faster, and he's going to mature faster and put animals back into the population in half the time that the wild population would do it.